This morning's topic is a really, really important one because for those of you that were at the North American Insurance Services Agent Conference last week, you heard a bombshell of news that maybe surprised you. Many of you know that there have been some new regulations that are about to take effect on September 1st that profoundly impact the short-term medical market. But our partners at Pivot, and Letty Perez is joining me here this morning, have a solution and a path forward. And that's the key thing I want everybody to take away from this call. We have a path forward. In fact, dare I say, it might actually be better than where we've been. We might actually be able to do states where we've been limited. We may be able to do 12-month plus short terms in a way that we've never been able to do before. Maybe the short-term medical market is actually about to explode because the path forward might actually be better than where we've been. Isn't that crazy? What's, I think, even still crazier is the only ones that have figured it out is Pivot. Yep. Nobody else, Letty, is going to be able to do what you're about to show. So for agents that are looking for a short-term medical solution, they're really the only path forward for them to be in this market is with Pivot. You're not going to really be able to do it with United Healthcare. You're not going to be able to do it with Allstate. Love those companies, but they do not have a path forward after September the 1st in the short-term medical market. And in a moment, Letty Perez from Pivot's going to explain why that is, what's changing, and how Pivot not only is okay with it, but is embracing it. And guys, this might be one of the best opportunities out there. A couple of other real quick items before I turn this over to Letty and let her get started. But let me do this, Letty, while I'm saying a couple more things.
Sure.
Let me make sure you got your screen. A couple more real quick things about where does short-term medical fit in the individual health insurance market. So for people that are heavily subsidized or with chronic health conditions, we're probably still talking about ACA plans, and that's okay. So if you got somebody who's going to pay $10 a month for some HMO on the exchange, or they got a chronic condition, ACA is still probably the way to go. Where short-term medical, though, fits in is there is still a significant number of people who are price sensitive, want a competitive rate with great major medical benefits, but are either not subsidy eligible or are looking for more flexibility that a PPO provides versus an HMO. So as an example, here in Texas, Letty, I know you're in Florida, but here in Texas, there is not a single city, not a single county in the entire state of Texas with a PPO plan on the exchange. Not one. Wow. So if you're one of the 25 million Texans and you want a PPO plan, you can't buy one in the individual market unless you find an alternative. And that's why I love the opportunity with Pivot and with short-term medicals. It is, dare I say, better than it was before. And there's certainly some nuance to it, and that's why I'm glad Letty Perez from Pivot is here to kind of explain it, because it does take a little bit of maneuvering to figure it all out. But I'm so pleased, Letty, that Pivot figured out a path forward.
Me too, Andy. Absolutely. Can you see my screen?
I see it. Looks great. Sounds great.
Perfect. Well, good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And Andy, again, we appreciate your partnership and your dedication to Pivot Health. Without our partners, we wouldn't be here today, and we wouldn't be fighting to keep our short-term alternatives alive. So Pivot Health, as you all know, we are known for our short-term medical products. So originally we had the 2 carriers available. That was historically over the last few years. So we've recently added a 3rd carrier to our portfolio. So just a little bit of background, just so everyone is clear, for those of you who maybe are not yet that familiar with Pivot Health. Pivot Health is actually a product development, marketing, and management company. So Pivot Health is not the insurer or the carrier. So that, to clear that up, We actually design the products. We have these proprietary short-term medical plans that we designed, and then we have carriers that insure them for us. So we have 3 different carriers today offering our short-term medical plans. So, but today's webinar or presentation is really to go over and clarify some of the confusion. It's just been so much since Q4 of 2023 when we found out that there was a potential of the current administration making changes to the short-term medical rulings. So want to go over the interpretation that Pivot's team has taken away from the legal explanation of what the rules are going to look like starting September 1st for short-term medical plans. And like Andy mentioned, we all know short-term medical plans are not for everyone. This is for a specific niche group. This is going to be for those people who are healthy, that don't maybe qualify for a subsidy or a large enough subsidy to make those, ACA plans affordable for the benefits that they need. So you have those people coming off of a group coverage, those that are maybe deciding to retire before they're Medicare eligible and they're healthy, and they want to enjoy their life. But, obviously if they're quitting work, it's probably because they can afford to do so. So more than likely, they're not going to qualify for large enough subsidy. So again, you've got kids graduating from college that maybe have not gotten a job that offers them health coverage yet, or there's waiting periods. So a lot of different little niche areas where the short-term medical plans are a great fit. So the interpretation of what the new ruling is indicating. So starting September 1st, they're going to limit a short-term duration to, and this is the way the law was written, 3 months of short-term medical coverage, allowing a 1-month extension to any consumer, and this is going to be within a 12-month period. Now, the 12-month period applies to controlled groups, or so this is going to be insurance carriers or owned by specific insurance carriers. So agents or brokers, marketing companies, like I just mentioned, Pivot Health is actually a marketing company. So we are not going to be precluded from offering clients additional coverage from other insurance companies. So really what the law is saying is they can only have a maximum of 4 months of coverage per carrier within a 12-month period. So they cannot repeat the same carrier. So this is a similar ruling that happened some years ago, which then was overturned. But back then, they did not limit the durations by carrier. So we were allowed to do a 3-month coverage and then keep reapplying. So this time around, they have decided to squeeze it down a little bit more. So as Andy mentioned, you have your Allstate and United Healthcare. They've only got the one paper, so this is going to affect them much more deeply than it is going to affect Pivot Health, because Pivot Health is not the carrier. So,
Letty, in fact, the regulators were specifically structuring this to make sure that United and Allstate couldn't do it by making this rule this way.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they wanted to, the regulators figured out how to prevent them from offering this, but obviously Pivot figured out the way to do it.
Yeah, and you know what, Andy? I think the regulators caught on that the last time they did this, it didn't really hurt the short-term industry, because those healthy clients continued reapplying for back-to-back coverages, every 3 months. So so you're exactly right. They really honed in to try to hurt those big carriers.
And they've already announced, by the way, UHC and Allstate, again, love them, great partners, but they've already announced that they don't have a path forward. So after September the 1st, they're just going to do the 3-month thing.
Exactly. Yep. So, and of course, they're also requiring us to have some new marketing materials, more information on the applications, more disclosures, outlining the difference between short-term plans and ACA plans, and they are indicating they want to make sure that the consumer is making a good educated decision when they're purchasing a short-term medical plan. Now, keep in mind, anything sold prior to 9/1 is going to be grandfathered in, so those plans are going to stay in force. So that's a big thing here, because we're down to about what, 6 weeks left, or maybe a little less than that already, before the changes go into place. So what does this mean for your client? So the client is going to have the option to have the maximum of 4 months of coverage. If they want to apply again and stay on short-term medical plan, they have to be able to go through the application process again. Now, they are not limiting it and saying, okay, once they apply once and they apply a second time with a different carrier, then they can't do this anymore. So they can continue reapplying with different carriers, providing they don't repeat the same insurer within a 12-month period. And of course, this is going to be subject to being able to go through the underwriting process of depending which carrier they're applying with, and also the state availability. So what's Pivot's advice for our agents? And our agents are going wild with this. They are taking their book of business. They are talking to their clients. They're letting them know that this option is not going to be available after September 1. So go ahead, talk to those clients, offer the longest durations available. State of Texas has great options for policies for up to 3 years of coverage without having to reapply. So that's huge. Go ahead and do that while you can. If you're in a state where only a 1-year plan is available, go ahead and put those on that 1-year plan. This is going to allow them to keep that coverage until that duration ends. So you want to make sure that the clients have that option, and you want to do that within the next few weeks. And come August 31st, our systems will change, and the quoting with the 9/1 effective date will no longer have the option of offering an extended duration as they exist today. So that 2 by 364, 3 by 364. So make sure that you take a look, and keep in mind the Pivot site is very clear. It gives you the options of what the longest durations are available in that state that you're quoting. So starting on that August 30th, that'll be the last day that you can do those extended durations, or the 364 day. On 8/31, the maximum duration that will display will be a 4-month duration across the board, like our competitors are going to have to do as well. So Pivot Health, we're excited. We want to help you as our agents navigate through this chaotic time. It does seem a lot, very confusing and concerning for agents that have been selling short-term medical as a great option for their clients. But we are excited, and as Andy mentioned, we're the only ones in the market today. And you know what? We are the small guy on the block compared to our competitors, which are business partners as well. But we figured out we have a great idea, and we think that our solution is going to help you as an agent navigate through these changes. So shorter duration starting on August 31st. It's going to be 3 months with a 1-month extension. But what does that even look like? So Pivot is actually, we're going to take it to the maximum. We are going to assume that clients are going to want at least that 4-month coverage period. And keep in mind, just as our rules are today, sign them up for the 4-month coverage, because that's all they feel they're going to need. If their situation changes and they no longer need the coverage, they can cancel at any time. So the cancellation rules are going to remain the same as they are today. They have a 10-day free look. Minimum number of days of coverage is 30 days. After that, they can cancel at any time. Keep in mind, Pivot Health prorates any unused premium after that 30-day minimum coverage period, providing there are no outstanding claims on the policies. So it's pretty much business as usual, with the exception of the duration. Now, so we do have 3 carriers. So in most of the states, right now we're up to about 20 states where you can offer one of our 3 carriers with this 4-month option. So the advantage is you can manage your clients' coverage by the carrier using the Pivot site. It's a one-stop shop for the quoting and enrolling for all 3 carriers. Your commissions are going to remain the same. We are not reducing commissions due to the durations being adjusted. Same service, and you have me, same account executive. That everything is going to stay the same. So our 1-3-12 solution, it is the buzz going on right now. We are so excited that we were able to come up with this solution. So what does the 1-3-12 stand for? One enrollment for all 3 carriers. So let's picture this as the extended duration that we select today. But today you pick one carrier, one plan design, and if you can extend it for up to 3 years, they get one duration. That policy ends, next one starts immediately. New coverage, it's new ID cards, new deductibles, new co-insurance, all new benefits. And then again for that 3rd term. So with the 1-3-12 solution, we're taking one enrollment for the 3 carriers, one set of eligibility questions, one enrollment fee. They're getting 3 carriers. So 3 different carriers, Companion Life, North River, and Pan American. They're going to get 4 months of coverage under each carrier. So one enrollment, 3 carriers, 12 months of coverage. So just like our extended durations, one policy ends, the next one starts immediately. No gap in coverage, no new underwriting in between each coverage period, and no new pre-X look back, which means that if they developed a condition in coverage period 1 or coverage period 2 that would normally be excluded from their coverage, we will continue to cover it in those subsequent policies, even though they are with a different carrier. So we are going to be the only ones after September 1st that are going to be able to offer a 12-month duration of coverage. So what we have done was we have gone and taken a plan from each different carrier. We tried to get them, there's going to be some options. The plans are not going to be identical. Majority of the benefits are going to be very similar, if not the same. This is going to lay out, and you'll have this available in the quoting site once we open up the 1-3-12 plan solution. So just want to make sure that you keep in mind that when the client enrolls, they're going to have 3 separate policies. And when the first one ends, it is crucial that they go in and open up and download their new ID card for their 2nd coverage period. They review their benefits, as some benefits may have changed. And again, in that 3rd coverage period. Once again, they are able to cancel at any time should their situation change. Maybe they need to go to an ACA plan, or they get group coverage offering. But so essentially, kind of to go over this, and we'll allow for some questions, because I know it's a new concept. I know everyone was wowed at the convention last week. So again, we have 3 unique insurance carriers as issuers, because Pivot again is not a carrier. The carrier sequence will be randomized at the time of quote. So, and this is how we were able to get the carriers to sign up for this. Wouldn't be fair to carrier number 3 if that one carrier was always in the 3rd slot. So the quoting site will shuffle up the plans every time you run a quote. No new underwriting, no new waiting periods, no new pre-X look back. While most of the out-of-pocket options are going to be the same with all 3 carriers, there are going to be some plan differences, as I mentioned, and the contract differences. Rates are going to vary by plan. So when you do quote it, when it is available on August 31st, you will see the rate for each plan that they are selecting. So they'll know upfront what their future premiums are going to look like after their first 4 months of coverage. And another key difference is that an e-signature is going to be required, unlike today where the site allows for an agent to do an agent-assisted application. So the platform is going to look very similar as it looks today. The demographic information is going to be the same as what's required today. But when you go down to the durations, you are going to see up to 4 months, where today in most states you'll see up to 180 days, and then the 364-day option. So going forward, it's going to be up to 4 months if they are just needing one single duration to get them through a gap in coverage, or the up to 12 months, and that's going to be the 1-3-12 solution. Again, there is going to be an email that's going to require an e-signature. You're going to have those 3 carriers. The application is going to ask the question whether or not they have had previous coverage with one of our 3 carriers. If they say no, they'll get a random quote. If they say yes, based on the carriers that was selected that they had previously, then it will put that most recent carrier in the last position to keep them from applying for coverage within that 12-month period with the same carrier. So again, 4-month coverage on all plans. So we're not doing the 3-month and then doing that extended 30 days. We're going to go for the full 4 months at one time. Again, the carrier sequence is going to be randomized. They can compare up to 3 plans. So if you're familiar with the way our site works today, where you can compare 3 plans side by side, the site will display those 3 plans so they can look at the differences in the plan coverages, and you're able to email those quotes to the client. So again, you're going to have the flexibility of using the same type of features that the Pivot site allows you to use today with this new solution. Again, when you compare the 3 plans, you can highlight the plan differences so that the client can be aware of what they can expect over the next 12 months with their 3 different coverage periods. And again, you can email this to the client. These applications are going to work the same, simplified underwriting, no additional questions unless it's a mandated question by the state. And keep in mind, with Pivot, there's no additional underwriting once they complete the application. It is a yes or no, determining whether or not they're eligible for the coverage. And we don't have those rate up questions. So there's no tobacco use question. We also do not have a height and weight chart. We only limit by weight, and that would be 250 pounds for a female, 300 pounds for a male. So the e-signature process, because that is going to be new to the application process on the Pivot site. So after the eligibility questions are answered, then the e-signature process will begin. And they will have an option to have the e-signature go to the member via a text or an email for them to complete. The payment information page will not appear until after the e-signature is completed. And all disclosures need to be checked off by the client in order for the policy to be issued. And they will have the availability to do a next day effective as well. So that is pretty much the 1-3-12 solution that Pivot Health has come up with. I'm going to open it up. Andy, do you see any questions or comments?
Yes, we do. And go ahead and type your questions in, and I'm going to have Letty respond to them. But I just wanted to make a couple real quick comments.
Sure.
As we do this. So first of all, again, congratulations to Pivot for figuring out a path forward. The long and short of it, guys, is we can do 12-month short terms. And while we don't have, I already know some people are asking about state availability. We don't have an updated state availability chart, do we?
No, the one that's in
Not
there
yet.
now is just where Pan American has added on, and they're up to 22 states right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we should
Got
have
it.
a few more, and then the new availability chart for the 1-3-12 will be available.
Terrific. So that's forthcoming. And we still have time. It's only, July, and this all takes place in September. But what I wanted to talk about is this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for agents because consumers are all going to assume that short-term medical is dead. You're going to start seeing news reports and the media and newspapers, magazines all saying, yep, short-term medical no longer is viable. And yet, we have a viable path forward, and not very many people know. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, Letty, our conference last week was really kind of the first really, maybe it was a webinar, but whatever. It's only been
Yep.
known in the last week or so
That's correct.
that this is a possibility. Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. So nobody knows about this yet except for us. So let's make sure that we're really thinking about what's the opportunity and how to capitalize on it. In addition, if you're not familiar, we also have our Pivot Select program. Our Pivot Select program is very selective. If you're interested in it, please let me know. Shoot me an email or a text or an instant message. In our Pivot Select program, we're providing agents with inbound call leads. And we just recently, in fact, this last week, started adding more inbound call leads. And for those agents that are interested, it's a great opportunity for you to generate sales with inbound call leads. In addition, in addition to providing short-term medical options, there's also in that offering Manhattan Life and OneShare. For those of you that were at the agent conference, you might have met the OneShare folks. So we actually have more products on the platform in our Pivot Select program. The commissions are a little different, a little lower, but they get inbound call leads and a whole bunch more products. So let me know if you're interested in any of that. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. We already got a bunch of questions.
Andy, I'm not seeing any of the questions, so would you mind reading through them?
I will be the host. The first one
Perfect.
is if a client becomes uninsurable halfway through the year, this is from Donna, using short-term medical plans, will the client then have a special election to get an ACA?
So my understanding is no. Coming off of a short-term medical plan is not considered a qualifying event for ACA.
No, I totally agree, Letty. And so, Donna, the way I guess I would say this is major medical coverage. So if something comes up, well, you got a major medical plan, but perhaps you might want to put them on an ACA plan come the next open enrollment in November the 1st to December 15th. But no, it does not trigger any kind of special election. Bunch of questions asking about states. I'm going to skip over those because I think we just answered that. Scott is asking for brochures. Are there updated brochures or sample contracts or policies, any of those kinds of materials available yet?
Not yet. Yep. Stay tuned. We have a couple of upcoming presentations, and as things develop, I'll be, of course, happy to share.
I like where you're going, Scott, though, because agents that figure this out are going to be having a competitive advantage because consumers are looking for this kind of coverage. I don't have a number, Letty, maybe you know better than I do. But I want to say that the total short-term medical market was somewhere in the 3 million member mark. I don't know if that sounds high or low when you add the entire industry up.
Yeah,
that's sort of what I'm guessing.
Say it's about right. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 million people like short-term medical. And that's 3 million out of whatever, 30 million in the individual markets. So that's about 10%. So very smart agents are going to say, well, wait a minute. There are 3 million people who like short-term medical that want a path forward. They think and assume, and correctly assume, that their Allstate or United Healthcare will no longer be something they can have because, again, it won't be anything but a 3-month. And so, yes, guys, this is a great opportunity to be a leader in your community as a place where they can buy these short-term medicals when everybody's telling them that they don't exist. Okay. Don is asking again, what happens at the end of the 12 months? So let's just say they have 3-4-month contracts. What happens at the end of that 12 months?
They are able to start all over again. So keep in mind, they can stay with Pivot and redo the whole process again. And the application question is going to ask which was their last carrier, so that we're staying within the law and we're not repeating the same carrier within a 12-month period. So the new ruling did not limit how many times they can remain on short-term medical.
So, Letty, this is big. So basically,
Yeah.
what we're saying is, it again depends on the state, but you
Correct.
technically could do this into perpetuity. I mean, there's
Correct.
nothing to really stop you from
Nope.
continuing to keep renewing every single year. Now, you might
Correct.
say, well, why? Why would somebody do that? Well, to me, the big answer is two things. One is the price. An unsubsidized ACA is going to at least be double the cost of a pivot short-term medical, and in some cases, triple.
Yep.
And the other is a PPO. You get access to PPO coverage instead of the HMOs that are mostly on the exchange, but you really could do this for the foreseeable future.
Yep. So one thing, these plans, Andy, are going to be all open access plans. So they are not going to have networks. Yeah. So I
So you don't
apologize for
even
that.
worry about a network.
Yeah. So, and keep in mind that unlike ACA plans that are really designed to work in the state where the policy is issued, short-term medical plans move with the client. So long as they are issued in a state where the policy is available and they are, say, traveling to another state and they need to use their coverage, they can use it. They've got much more flexibility with these type of plans than they would with an ACA plan.
So like literally any doctor, any hospital, I mean, if it's open access, you can go anywhere. So if you're, I'll just use this because we actually have a bunch of people that are traveling nurses. So let's say you're a traveling nurse and you live in one state, but you travel to multiple others and you're worried about how you're going to get health care. Well, in an HMO, things could get tight. But with this, you can literally go anywhere. Love
exactly.
it.
And
Sharon
honestly,
is asking, I'm sorry, Letty, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that also for those of you who have not worked with the pivot plans yet, you will notice that the discounting with reference-based pricing, which is what we use on these open access plans, is much steeper than they normally would get with a PPO plan. So lots of advantages to short term.
Wow. Well, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon is asking about underwriting. So she's basically asking, do you have to go through underwriting each time you go through one of these 4-month short terms?
No. So if you do the 1-3-12, that's the beauty of it. They have to qualify, be able to answer the application questions with a no at the onset of signing up. So once they are enrolled in the 1-3-12 solution, their first 4 months will end at midnight. The next policy will kick in at 12:01 a.m., leaving them with no gap. So let's use an example. If they were on a 4-month plan and month 3, they develop a cancer. So obviously, if they were on a 4-month policy, when that 4-month ends, and if they had to go sign up again for a new coverage, whether it be with us, with Allstate, with United Healthcare, they would not be eligible for coverage because they have a new cancer. They wouldn't be able to get through the underwriting, and ours is simplified. With the 1-3-12, that cancer will continue to be covered in the next 4 months of coverage, and then again in the following 4 months of coverage. So their qualification, their eligibility is based on at the time of the initial application. The next 2 policies, they are automatically enrolled, and we can't deem any conditions that develop as pre-existing or exclude them from coverage.
That's awesome. I love this question. Jackson is asking, how do I get contracted? So I'm going to go ahead and hit that one.
Perfect.
Letty. So what you're going to want to do is go to our website, which is na-insurance.com, or you can send an email to sales@na-insurance.com, or you can call 888-362-1214, and our sales department can get you contracted and ready to go. I agree, Jackson. This is a huge opportunity. Agents who figure this out are going to have a huge opportunity in front of them this fall. Got a few more questions, but we've kind of gone over, but there's just too many to not answer them. So let's
absolutely. Let's go for it, Andy. This is big.
Yeah, this is big. More questions about state availability. So I'm just again going to reiterate, we don't have the chart yet. It's forthcoming. So if you could just hold on your questions about states.
Mhm.
And then Sharon is asking, is it a calendar 12 months or is it 12 months from the time you start? So if you enroll somebody on September the 1st, they get 12 months starting September the 1st.
That is correct. None,
So then
these
they would,
plans, just as they are today, you can start coverage as early as tomorrow. They don't go by calendar year like an ACA plan. Ours go
awesome.
from the date you enroll till the date it expires.
Okay, I'm going to hit last two to be sensitive to everybody's time. Kayla is saying interested, want to get contracted again. Sales at na-insurance.com or go to our website, na-insurance.com. Go to the contracting section and you'll find Pivot in there, or always give us a call, 888-362-1214. Last question. By the way, I'll answer one more before I get this last one.
Sure.
Asking, is this call being recorded? Yes, this call is being recorded, and it usually gets posted to our YouTube channel within 24 to 48 hours. Again, you can find all that on our website if you need a recording of this. Last one. Don is asking how the renewal works. So, okay, so let's just say you go through 12 months. Do you reapply for the
Yes,
second 12 months to do another 1, 3, 12?
that's
1, 4,
correct.
12?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, certainly, guys. There's some logistics to try to get your head around, and it'll make much more sense once you actually start selling it and can explain it. Of course, Letty's done a fantastic job of explaining how it works, and there's going to be, I know, tons more questions. So we'll be available, going forward and getting everybody ready for September the 1st. But we wanted to bring this to you first. We wanted everybody excited about it. Be thinking about this. How do you go about sharing with the world that we have a path forward when everybody else is saying the short-term medical market does not? It's a huge opportunity for agents. You could make a ton of money. 3 million people who bought short-term medical bought it for a reason. That's why Pivot has a path forward. Letty, thanks so much. Really appreciate the time. Great
My
stuff.
pleasure. Thank you.
Very good, guys. That's the conclusion of this training. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.